This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
Hello and welcome to our first episode of Newbie versus Weeaboo. This is going to be super chilled because we're basically just going to give a bit of a background to who we are, why we're doing this, what we're into, and just some basic stuff so you can get to know us. So I'm, as I said, Lizzie, and I've been watching anime for possibly about 25 years. I think I started around about 1994. Makes me feel a little bit old because I'm like going to be a 36-year-old anime fan who hasn't grown out of it in the slightest.
You're so old.
Not old. I'm seasoned. I am now the sensei to all the young Weeaboo fans that are coming out.
Ah, is that what you are to me?
Yeah.
You're my splinter.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've watched anime for a very long time. I think my first anime convention was back in 1998. Woo, Minami-con! And I still go every year. In fact, I met my husband there because that's how cool I am. But I just adore anime. Always have, probably always will. I love manga. If you ask me what I've watched, it's easier to probably go with what I haven't watched because my goodness, the amount that I get through in a space of like a week sometimes is insane. And then I went on to become a researcher in anime. So I did one master's in contemporary film development, specialising in Japanese cinema. And then I did another master's in Japanese culture, specialising in creative industries. Spent time in Japan. And now I go around to conventions doing talks about anime and Japanese culture, such as anime as social commentary. I'm doing one for Nine Worlds Geek Fest on non-binary characters in anime, evolution of mecha, is moe killing the genre, that kind of stuff. My anime days was introduced very much in the early days when it was mainly films, and because there weren't that many series, it was all films, and I totally fell in love with things like Wicked City and Monster City. I also happened to come about when the ultra-violent age was, so one of the first films I saw was Urisoki Doji, which is going to be a treat when I finally show Newbie. She should be scared. But I think I'm going to introduce her to some kind of like, you know, the nicer, safer stuff before I roll out the, like, you know, the stuff I originally watched.
You're so generous.
I know. It's going to be a lot of fun. But as I said, like, I spent time in Japan. I also used to live in South Korea, which has an interesting manhwa, like, background as well. And the two cultures are now doing a lot of stuff together. You've noticed when you look at anime, most of them are Korean, like, studios that are producing stuff. But that's pretty much like my story. I'm really, really obsessed. I'm covered in tattoos from it. Like my entire back is just covered in tattoos from Clamp manga and Jijoku Shoujo and Death Note because I love like that shoujo, dark shoujo iconography. My house is filled with manga and action figures and toys. Oh, shoujo means girl.
There you go. See, it's not a clue.
This is going to be really fun because I'm just going to start going, oh my goodness.
Well, I need to help out the other newbies out there who are listening to this because terminology, we're going to need like some sort of
glossary.
Yeah.
Glossary per episode. But yeah, so we decided with Newbie versus Weeaboo for the obvious that my friend Sagira is a newbie. I mean, she's watched some anime, which she'll talk about, but unlike me, who's watched it for like, I think most of my life and studied it and lived it and carved it all over my skin. But I decided that like I was going to want a newbie versus otaku because I'm like, I'm a collector. I collect the merchandise and I'm a Japanophile because obviously I've studied the stuff. I've got some basics in the language. My Japanese is awful. I'm going to blame it on being dyslexic that I can't do grammar in English, let alone Japanese. But my vocab's pretty good. But, so, you know, but after a while I've got to admit when someone calls you a weeaboo enough times, you have to go, you know what? Fine, I'm owning it. I'm very, very down this rabbit hole. And, you know, I've also got good insight on the culture. I'm mixed race Asian, and although Malaysia is quite different from Japan, it's still, like, you know, got some more of those stereotypical Asian, like, upbringings that, like, help me understand some of the social background that goes into anime because their system and the way children are raised is very different from how people who are very Western, like my husband and Miss Sagira, just don't get.
We're so white.
I was trying to be really nice about saying that, but yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm not very white, so I'm half Scottish, but you know, I also, you know, feel quite Asian a lot of the time. I'm gonna let Sagira talk now.
All right. What up? So yeah, not much in the way of anime compared to Lizzie. So basically, all of my experience really comes from my sister because she was very much into it at a young age, and because I was the younger sister, all my influences came from her, including gaming, what she watched, what she played with, like all of it from my sister. So I kind of have to thank her with how I grew up in some ways, because it opened up a door to a world that I wouldn't have known without her. So cheers. So my first introduction to anime was a film called Gigi, and I could not tell you the storyline. All I knew was it was pretty people doing very pretty things on rainbows and clouds and things like that. And
I'm sure you weren't watching Rainbow Bright.
I don't know. Her name was Gigi. She had pink hair and she had a wand that made her turn into an adult, which was very confusing. So as a child, I wasn't really up on the whole anime thing. I just liked the pretty pictures. Then, growing up a bit more, I very much got into the anime style of drawing. I love the way that they are drawn. I try and do it myself. I'm not that good, especially with eyes. They look like chameleons because their eyes are on different sides of their faces. But yeah, I love the way, especially the cats. I'm very much a cat person. Massive catophile, I guess it would be if they were going with...
Or in the Japanese, necophile?
Let's not use that terminology. But yeah, so anything kiddie-like, I'm totally on it. I'm sure Lizzie was showing me a lot of animes with cats in, just to keep me happy.
Yeah, cat soup. I think she should fear that one.
Don't know what that is. So, yeah, and Pokemon is the obvious thing that a lot of kids grew up with, in my generation especially, because it was new, it was this anime that not a lot of us white people had seen before. I'm talking about me personally. I don't mean everyone, because, like, yeah, everyone's different. Like I said, my sister probably knew more than I did, but, yeah, Pokemon, again, all the kiddies, obsessed.
It's very amusing how my introduction to anime was things like Violence Jack, Urasaki Doji, Dominion Tank Police, and yours was Pokemon.
Pokemon. I think most people's introduction to anime.
I didn't even know there was U-rated anime when I got into it.
Well, then Netflix came along when I got older, and then that's when I started watching more of it. The things that I have watched from Netflix are Seven Deadly Sins, The Black Butler, Elfen Lied. My God.
One of the few ones I haven't watched.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It gives you all the emotions. It's prepared me for this, I think, because I'm sure you're going to show me things that are 10 times worse. But
I will give you a mix. I'm going to be fair.
Fair enough. Death Note, as was mentioned in the introduction, I saw all of it. I saw the dubbed version, which angers Lizzie, but we'll talk about dub versus sub later. Some of Attack on Titan. I haven't watched lots of it because it really disturbs me.
I love Attack on Titan.
And so does my boyfriend, but I just can't. It's their faces. It's the fact that they eat people. The whole thing just... I can't. I'm sure we're going to watch some of it, but I can't. It's just so... There's no words. There's no words to describe it.
The genre is ultra-violence.
There you go.
And it's got that genre for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I do is I attend cons dressed as an anime kitty, mostly, because that's the easiest thing for me to dress as to go to a con.
Yeah, my cosplays are rather more varied. I like cosplaying the blokes, which is obviously sometimes a bit tricky because I'm a slightly lady-looking lady.
Curvaceous.
But curvaceous, we'll go with that one. And I'm like, oh, but I really want to be the Bishonans. It's like, if I can't have them, I want to be them.
We'll strap you down and stuff you.
There we go. But, yeah, I had 2 or 3 cosplays every year from various animes, mangas, games. Like, at the moment, I'm trying to think of which character I want to be from Kakiguri, the kind of weird lesbian gambling anime that recently hit Netflix. I watched it all from Japan, but I'm so glad more things are turning up on Netflix. I'm also sad because everything that turns up on Netflix I watched about 5 to 10 years ago, so that's a bit weird. I mean, I think the one lucky thing from being Asian is when anime became a big thing, back in the day. Like, I remember the internet had just been invented and we had dial-up, and we'd sit there trying to download fan sub stuff, and it would take about 20 minutes, and there'd be a lot of like noises as we're going, come on, you series. DVD hadn't been invented when I first got into anime. Like, it's amazing to think, but there was no such thing as DVD.
Well, no, I was usually on VHS, so,
Yeah.
you know.
So I'd go down to Tower Records, because that was the shop, and I'd buy my VHSs, and they hadn't invented subbing, so everything was dubbed at the time, so that's the only way you could watch it. And then I would go on my family holiday to Malaysia, and go to the Tower Records in Malaysia, and there'd be VCD box sets of subtitled anime. And my mum would despair, because I would always go on holiday with about 3 outfits, so I could fill my suitcase up and be like, look at me, I am the guru of anime, look at all this stuff. And it was always like auto like subbed, so some of the like English subbing was awful, with characters being literally translated. I remember when Yu-Gi-Oh hit, and I had it all in Japanese originally, and the subtitles would literally translate the characters' names. So Mokuba would appear as wooden horse, and Kaiba as seahorse, and they just kept getting the cards wrong. So like the shallow grave was the not so deep grave, and the pot of greed was the desirable kettle. And I will never forget the Green Eyes White Dragon, and it was just like hilarious. It was nothing like it. But eventually, you know, access to anime has got a lot more easier. People should be very lucky that there's all these sites you can watch it on, the volume of it that comes out now, and also that you can get subtitled stuff, because I am too far down that rabbit hole that I can only watch subtitles.
And this is where it gets tricky, because I have to watch dubbed, because I don't read that fast. So for me to be reading whilst watching and feeling all the emotions, I just can't. I'm too slow for that. So I have to watch dubbed, which angers Lizzie, because she feels I will not get the full experience if I watch dubbed.
And also, a lot of the early ones are dubbed terribly, with awful voices.
Surely that adds to the humour.
It's not meant to be humorous. Watching like something like Evangelion for the humour is not going to work. But we've made a pact that we're going to try some dubbed and some subbed. So I'm going to dig out the ones from my early days that only came out in dub, so I already have a concept of them being dubbed, so it doesn't hurt my soul as much. I mean, the ones that I think you can read the subtitles for because they're not overly like complicated or plot heavy can be done maybe subtitled, and I'm just going to have to get over it.
Well, some things we can watch dubbed and subbed and then compare.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing as well.
That'd be good, because some things I do not mind watching over and over again. There's going to be a real mixed bag of like films in here, and it'll be interesting because some I haven't seen since I was young, and it'll be interesting watching it again and going, oh, this is not as good as I remember in the slightest.
I had that when I rewatched All Friends.
It's going to be a whole new experience watching anime movies compared to Friends. But yes, I can imagine that. And also, I'm not going to not show you too many Ghibli films, because I feel like Ghibli gets a lot of attention. There's some... See, this is what I have to work with. Ghibli, the most famous like Japanese animation studio ever, with the most famous anime director Hayao Miyazaki.
There you go.
Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, Spirited Away. I have heard that's the guy with the mask and the split eyes. That one. That was Spirited Away.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God.
The face I'm getting.
So yeah. Okay. So maybe there'll be a couple more Ghiblis, just so like Sagira knows a little bit more context. But truthfully, Hayao Miyazaki isn't my favourite of the directors, and there's some others that I love, like Satoshi Kon. Cannot wait to show Sagira Satoshi Kon. Very sad that he passed away, and only with like 4 films under his belt, because he's wonderful. Yeah, but as I said, there is a wealth of movies out there, because I've watched stuff starting from like the 70s because I wanted to find everything, and we're just going to see where this podcast takes us. See what interesting dynamics, arguments, and things that we can learn together, and we can hopefully you guys get something good out of it, rather than me just going, why don't you get it?
Why don't you know this terminology?
Yeah, exactly. Come on. post-apocalyptic, like Neo, like Tokyo. Everyone knows what that is.
Of course they do.
Everyone knows what Neo Tokyos are. Come on, Akira. No, she doesn't even know Akira. Like, oh dear.
Well, I'm going to apologise now in case I offend anyone with my lack of knowledge and my naivety in the whole anime genre, but I am learning. Kind of.
Yeah, and I've got to accept that not everybody sits around watching anime and thinking about it like 24/7. Like, some people actually do other things. I mean, it's not like I still got a day job, and I play computer games, and I'm obsessed with the DC TVU. So, you know, I've got other hobbies. I just really find anime interesting and fun. And also bizarre, and literally it caters for every thought that's ever flickered through my brain. So if I've ever wanted to see like hyper-violent like teenagers and high school girls, I'm like, oh, High School of the Dead, that's fun. I really like pretty boys that like each other. Oh, there's a whole genre for that. Yippee! Like battle royales, social commentary, horror. Damn, there's some good anime horror out there.
I'm excited.
I can tell from the tone of your voice. It's me going, oh my God, there's so many new and old gems from my past I can experience again and show you. And you're like, yay, don't hurt me.
I'm just a delicate flower, be kind.
Oh, I'm in for some fun. But no, I will start off gentle. I will ease you into this genre and these new worlds rather than just, throw down some really bizarre stuff.
Great.
Oh dear. I think that is us saying our piece for now. So just a short first episode, but I thought you'd like to get to know us, our points of view and where we come from. And I hope you enjoy watching further episodes of Newbie vs. Weeaboo. Hope you enjoyed the episode. This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You signing off. And if you did like what you heard and want to hear more from me, you can find me as Let Zoe Spoil You on YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr and Twitter.
And if you'd like to know more from Sagira, you can find me on YouTube, Tumblr and Twitter.
But for now, this is a Weeaboo saying Janny
and Newbie saying see ya!